let's go ahead and get started. I'll just talk without the microphone so we don't get all that feedback. But as I was saying, obviously that we're here for a number of reasons. We're doing the Horizon Scan. And back when we first thought about the Horizon Scan, I think a very natural connection was with the Martha Twitchell Muse Prize that's also funded and supported by the Tinker Foundation.
Can't hear anything.
And we were also at the point that it was a 5-year anniversary, and we have 5 awardees. And even in the original construct for the prize, there was a plan to, on some regular basis, bring together the community of Muse Fellows as it grew over time. And so this seemed like a good time to combine it with the Horizon Scan. And so they are having a lot of firsts this week. So the first Martha T. Muse Fellows Colloquium. And the topic, I think, is pretty straightforward. We're talking about Beyond the Horizon, Antarctica and the Southern Ocean, 2065. And with the thought that that simply was sort of the next set of decades beyond what we're considering is the Horizon Scan with a time horizon of 2035. So we have a number of speakers as well from New Zealand, and Lisa will introduce them. But first I want to go ahead and introduce Renate Rennie. She's the president and chief officer of the Tinker Foundation to say a little bit about Martha Muse, but also the prize and this first colloquium.
Thank you. I think I can project too. My voice is pretty strong. Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure to be able to join you today for the first Martha T. Muse Fellows Colloquium. As many of you already know, Martha Muse passed away recently after a brief illness. So this is quite a fitting tribute to her legacy as the person who began the Foundation's support of Antarctic-related activities. Martha was a woman of extraordinary accomplishments. She was a daughter of Texas, but she moved to New York City in her teens and lived there for the rest of her life. She was a woman of many firsts globally. The first woman trustee elected to the board of Columbia University, one of the 2 first women elected to the board of the New York Stock Exchange, among the first women elected to membership in the Council on Foreign Relations. During her career, she was honored with many awards and medals from universities and governments for her contributions to bettering relations between the United States and Latin America. It was perhaps then just business unusual for her when she made the Tinker Foundation the first private foundation in the United States to focus on Antarctica, another first. The Tinker Foundation was established in 1959 with a funding focus on Latin America, and that continues to this day. However, in the 1980s, when the region suffered a severe economic downturn, many of the scientists from Latin America could not raise the resources to attend many of the international meetings held around the world. This is where Martha stepped in and offered some of the resources of the Tinker Foundation to cover Latin American attendance. This first small step led to the Foundation's support of the first international conference to actually be held on the Antarctic continent, which Martha attended, and she was one of 2 women who were actually there. This is where she deepened her interest in and love for Antarctica. Since that time, the Foundation has supported numerous activities, both research and policy related, that pertain to Antarctica. In 2009, when Martha retired, the Foundation established the Muse Prize for Science and Policy in Antarctica to honor her devotion for the region. Over the last 5 years, one Antarctic expert each year has been awarded the prize. This Horizon Scanning meeting here at Millbrook is a fitting venue to hold the first Muse Fellows Colloquium. The fellows selected today under the Muse Prize, 4 are here in person and 1 we hope will be here via Skype, are people of exceptional accomplishment and long-lasting commitment to the protection and promotion of Antarctica. It really is impossible for me to say how highly qualified these 5 individuals have been, and it makes our selection process really difficult when we look at all their applications. These fellows and their fellow panelists will bring a unique perspective to the special issues facing Antarctica over the next decades. I look forward to hearing their recommendations to meeting the challenges that will be confronting Antarctica. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Monica, Mike, the STAR staff, and especially Chuck for all your hard work and effort in putting this organizing committee together. Several Tinker board members are here with me attending the seminar, and I know they join me in wishing you all best success. Thank you.
And I would like to reiterate, because I can't remember what I actually did say at the beginning with various interruptions, but both the Horizon Scan and this colloquium would not have happened without the support of the Tinker Foundation. And I think it shows great vision by Renata yourself, but also for the board, and looking for those projects that really have impact. And I think all of us agree that these particular activities will have great impact as we go forward. So who's going to help us today, particularly to keep our speakers in line, is very proud we got Lisa Owens with us. She's from TV3 here in New Zealand, and is an anchor, I believe, on the show The Nation. And I looked up to say something nice about her. They said she was the best reporter in New Zealand, so I think we have the best. And I hope Lisa can control our panelists.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa, aka the Enforcer, and Jose may come to know me as that a bit later. In all good intellectual showdowns, we should have some rules of engagement. So the panelists will get 6 to 7 minutes, and I will give them a wind-up call when they've got 1 minute to go. It's a bit like floor managing in live television. In news, we call it 1 minute 30, quick and dirty. These guys and the lady are getting practically a documentary length, 6 to 7 minutes. So the other thing is that we're going to throw the floor open for questions at the end, and if we're keeping to the tally thing, it's going to be a bit like Survivor. You will get the talking stick, which will be one of these 2 microphones, so that we can then take questions from the floor. If anyone's got supplementary questions or something to add, if you raise your hand, someone will come to you with a microphone. But that's once we get through all of the speakers. So, to start us off today, we will begin with Martin Seibert.
Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about what lies underneath the ice sheets in Antarctica. As you know, Antarctica is one of the few places on Earth where we can undertake pure exploration. There are parts of Antarctica that we know very little about. At this moment in time, we have a reasonable understanding of some things beneath the ice in Antarctica and some wonderful discoveries that have been made. So we know about mountain ranges underneath the ice. We know about the nearly 400 subglacial lakes that exist underneath the ice. We know that some parts of the ice sheet is resting on a bed which is several kilometres below the level of the sea and is potentially vulnerable to change. So we have a decent appreciation of many things, yet still our knowledge of subglacial Antarctica, what's underneath the ice, is woefully incomplete. We don't have good knowledge. We don't have very good knowledge of subglacial topography. It's absent in some places. You know, there are parts of Antarctica you can stand on and be 200 kilometres from a single data point. So at this moment in our time, we think we have a good appreciation of the world around us. Antarctica is one of the places that we really don't have too much. So we've been asked to look ahead in the next 50 years. And what I thought I'd do is take you back 50 years to where we were just after the last IPY, which was tasked with understanding the volume of ice on the continent in Antarctica. And the technique that was chosen to use to get information was seismic sounding. And essentially, seismic sounding was a laborious technique, and it essentially gave you one data point roughly per day, and then you moved on to another point. And that's how the continent ice mass was supposed to be measured. And the whole idea of understanding the ice sheet in Antarctica was revolutionized by the discovery that radio waves travel through cold ice and the advent of ice-penetrating radar took place. And in the late 1960s, it was the use of radar on aeroplanes flying across Antarctica that increased the rate of data acquisition from the ice sheet base by 5 orders of magnitude. And it's one of those moments in science that we should really celebrate, because virtually overnight, we had an ability suddenly to acquire continental data from Antarctica at a way that we had no ability to before. So it's remarkable, I think, that that's even 40 years ago where we had that ability, and yet still today there are many parts of Antarctica that we don't know anything about. So my feeling is, when we look ahead, that there were some very important questions that we now know about Antarctica that we wish to ask, and that is how the topography influences ice flow, is there life in subglacial lakes, and what is the diversity and distribution of that life? Are there records in sediments beneath the ice sheet? These are sort of fundamental questions that we need to be asking in the years ahead, and yet we need a data set to be able to determine where the best place to go and collect samples might be. We need technology to allow us to get those samples and to do it regularly. And I think what will characterise the next 50 years is essentially what characterised the last 50 years, and that is a step change in our ability to acquire information. So when we're looking at aircraft and geophysical setups around Antarctica, those are expensive, getting great data is expensive. I think the advent of unmanned vehicles in the air, I think that's probably something that's going to come on in the next few decades. I think our ability to get not just complete coverage of subglacial Antarctic data, which I think is needed at a sub-kilometre scale, but actually repeat measurements as well, because there are little snippets of data from 1 or 2 parts of Antarctica that's showing us when we actually go back over a transect and look at two data sets, we see subglacial Antarctica changing. The water flow might be changing, maybe the sediments are moving, and we just have little snippets of information. What we really need is a detailed time series from many parts of Antarctica to understand the processes which go on underneath the ice. And of course we want to access the bed of the ice sheet. There have been several attempts to access subglacial lakes in Antarctica with varying degrees of success, I think we will know. And I'm sure the next 50 years we will be accessing the subglacial environment of Antarctica cleanly and regularly, and getting information about the life that exists there, but also about the ice and climate records that will also be included in the sediments, extending ice core information much further back in time. So I see an exciting future the next 50 years. I think we are in a position to complete the task capturing our understanding of subglacial Antarctica that started 50 years ago, and I'm sure in 50 years' time, it'll be 100 years since we really first started this type of work, we will have a data set to be proud of. Thank you.